actually the most effective form of contraception because they don't rely on any patient control really. So for instance, if you're on hormonal pills, you have to take them at this specific time, every day, which can, obviously people are going to mess up on that. So a basic overview of how they work can be classified as hormonal or non-hormonal. And most hormonal IUDs work by releasing levonorgestrel, which is strong progesterone. And if you are in physiology, you know how progesterone works. It is released when a woman is pregnant, and it prevents sperm from ascending into the fallopian tubes. And non-hormonal IUDs are actually usually made by with a metal material, so it actually releases ions and causes an inflammatory response, which makes sperm ascension more difficult, and it can also prevent implantation. So I know that I went into this project thinking like, oh, that sounds so dangerous, like I'm gonna find all these problems with it, but actually like most of the articles that I found only supported IUDs or found that there wasn't any problems. For instance, for pain upon insertion, there was one study that found that only 11% of women needed to medicate to help with the pain when it's inserted. And as far as bleeding disorders go, one study in Romania, studying the effect of lower dosage hormonal IUDs, found that the bleeding was most likely to occur in the first 30 days, but then was alleviated within 60 days. And then another concern was whether preventing the actual fertilization or the implantation of fertilized embryos. And another study found that they are indeed preventing fertilization and not actual implantation of fertilized embryos.
Alright, so now we're switching gears completely to car accidents, so just basic overview. So this is the first statistic is worldwide. So 20 million people get in some kind of accident or hurt somehow, and it's $500 million, but almost half of that is in the US, which means we're bad drivers. And then one person in our group talked about eye injuries, so we had to throw that in too. And so 75,000 eye injuries are associated with crashes. So I guess overview what we're going to talk about. We're talking about eye problems, so bionic eyes, organ transplants, and then how we're going to fix minor injuries. And so before we talk about that, more basic overview of what 3D bioprinting is, because that's really what our topic was. So there are three methods. There are inkjet, extrusion, and laser. Inkjet is for it's one cell at a time, very slow, very tedious. Extrusion, so it's a piston rotates, and then it's very continuous flow. And then laser uses the force of the energy of the laser to move the compound. So why did we research this in the first place? So 3D bioprinting has been around for a very long time, but I still said it's developing because every single study that you look at, they have their own method. All the techniques are different. All the matrices are different, and the recovery rate for all the methods is different between people, which is why a lot of studies, most of them, are done on rats or mice before they're put in humans. And so what I'll talk about later is all done on rats. Yeah. Okay, so
here's some extra statistics. 500,000 children become blind annually. Unfortunately, 50% of those numbers are preventable. And so it's due to factors such as socioeconomic levels, health accessibility, and also accidents such as car crashes. Now, bionic eyes, the way they work, it's not like for complete blindness. You have to have a functioning inner cornea and a non-functioning outer cornea, because bionic eyes can only replicate the function of the outer cornea. And the functions, it has to be able to take images from the surroundings. It has to be able to also turn them into kind of a signal that the brain can actually understand, and then kind of activate the inner cornea in order to form the image inside the brain. And so how do bionic eyes work? So all the ones I've seen, they have an internal and external component. For an external component, they have a video camera or the patient's eyes, a computer to process the image, and then an internal external coil that will connect to the internal system. And so there's also another coil for the Now the different models, most of them, they, like I said, they're very similar. The only one that's different is that for the Iris 2, there is an external component. So if you use glasses like me, it's just a video camera that goes right there. For the Alpha IMS, it actually uses your eyes, so you don't really have to worry about that. For the Iris, what's really interesting about this is that it actually kind of takes into account how you're doing during your training simulations, and it adjusts itself in order to improve the whole experience. Now, some improvements. The problem is with a lot of the research that they've been doing, you have to implant the device inside your head, and that's the problem. That's why there hasn't been a lot of subjects. You can't develop a lot of mass data, and so that's why development and improvements is still a relatively slow process. So for surgery, a lot of times, most of the times, there isn't any problem. Usually you might need some treatments, you might need some antibiotics, but so far nothing's too serious. For visual ability, it does improve orientation. A lot of people have been able to see dots, shapes, even letters, but it's nothing really close to actual complete restored vision. There's still going to be a lot of discrepancy.
Okay, so for most organ transplantations, the donations originally, or most usually come from car accidents that result in the driver or passenger going brain dead, to which they can have their organs harvested. So the final goal is to get 3D printed organs that can have the patient's cells grafted into them so that there won't be any chance of rejection of the organ. But even until that happens, we still are suffering from a shortage of organs, which is why 22 people die every day, either waiting for an organ, receiving an organ, and having to get rejected. So until 3D printing is fully up and functional, this won't eliminate that number, but it will reduce it drastically. So one of the analogies of a study tried to compare how a woman who is pregnant, how her body doesn't attack the fetus. And so the study mainly focused on the woman's T cells, which are what are used to like locate viruses and infections, and then they're used to eliminate them. The pregnancy caused her T cells to be inhibited, but not to a point where she was susceptible to most diseases. And that's kind of where the research for drugs, new drugs as immunosuppressants come into this. Most drugs just oversuppress the body to a point where they're extremely susceptible to all kinds of diseases and viruses. And it oversuppresses it to the point where it's not even close to having the organ be rejected because literally anything can come in and affect the body. So they're currently trying to figure out how the T cells of pregnant women adapt and are influenced in a way that they can replicate that so that they can reach clinical tolerance, which is the term used where the organ won't be rejected, but they're not as open to outside infections and diseases. So like I said, the only way to reduce the number of people who die waiting for organ transplants is to eventually reach 3D printing. Although there are a bunch of car crashes, as we saw on one of those slides, there's just not enough people who signed up as organ donors to meet all the needs of people waiting on the list. These methods and drugs will basically kind of buy the patient's time until the 3D printing is up and functional, just because there's not enough organs available for everyone waiting on the list right now.
Okay, so I researched alginate, which is it's a compound used in scaffolds. So basically what alginate is, it's a biomaterial that its structure is very similar in structure to the tissue in the body. And so it's really good because you don't want the tissue to be attacked by the body. And so this is why alginate is very good. Fortunately, it's only been used in rats to study, so like everything I'm telling you, I could be lying. Hopefully not. Anyway, so there are 5 main things that alginate can do that traditional, like collagen, for instance, cannot do. I only talked about 3 of them in the presentation, but the other 2, muscles and nerves, there's some effects in there too. So first, think Dr. Strange, and then, think his injuries. He has, his hand is hurt, and he needs to be fixed. So first, the first thing you need to do is you need to fix the bone. And so how do you make the bone recover? So alginate, it proliferates attachments of essentially like rat bones, basically. And the article I read, it used the term progressive bone regeneration. So the difference between progressive and like standard bone regeneration is that normally what happens is you will recover, but then it will kind of die down as the body starts recognizing his form. But with progressive bone regeneration, hopefully the body doesn't attack you, and so you can stay in the body for a long time, which makes it very good. Also, blood vessels, so you need some kind of blood flow, and alginate has very good blood perfusion. this is good, I guess, for organ transplants too, because they're going to be there a long time. And then last, so for Dr. Strange, he needed to use his hands again, because he's a neurologist. And he couldn't, because there's too much inflammation, and there's too much, it was too much damage. But, what alginate does, is in small amounts when paired with collagen, it reduces the amount of inflammation that you will have. You need inflammation. This inflammation tells the doctor that whatever you implanted was good, but you don't want too much. And so alginate reduces that.
Okay, so these are some factors that have to be considered for the materials used for 3D printing. So viscosity, that is basically how well it'll flow through the printer. It can usually be adjusted depending on temperature or concentration of the nanoparticle you're using. Shear thinning abilities, that's when pressure is applied to the hydrogel or whatever material is being put through the printer. That allows it to flow better when pressure is applied and then regenerate back to its normal form after. Biocompatibility, of course, how it reacts in the body. Toxic degeneration, this is how the material is going to break down once it's in the body and how that will affect other systems. And then cell viability, how well cells will live and how long they will live in the material that you're choosing to print with. Some current research, a group at Harvard Medical School, their goal was to improve cell viability and system clogging. They did this by adapting the inkjet printer and added a mechanical valve injector that was controlled using the pressure of nitrogen gas. This allowed for 90% cell viability for greater than 2 weeks. So that was a pretty good improvement. And with this, they were able to print smooth organ tissue, smooth muscle tissue, encapsulated in collagen. And then another group at the Wake Forest Institute for Regenerative Medicine, their goal was to enhance the mechanical strength of materials. So they did this by combining hybrid inkjet printing. They alternated it with electrospinning. So electrospinning is, they use electrical force to draw out charged threads of polymer solutions. So by layering these on top of each other, they showed an 80% cell viability after, I think it was 7 days. Yeah, and then the final one, the goal of this one was more like adapted to like bionic organs, electrical side of things. This group combined 3D printed tissue with electronics, like I said. They did this by combining a hydrogel solution that was intertwined with silver nanoparticles and were able to print a bionic ear.
Alright, so I guess the future of our entire presentation. So first, most of these studies